The only comfortable chair in the whole station. But there's no time to rest. Case files. A lot of them for our tiny town. This is all a game to him, and he doesn't expect to lose. Oh, no. No! Suzanne? I don't understand. I was sure it would be Clark's hair. I'll have to let him go. You can leave.
Sorry it didn't work out for you, Detective. Maybe you should consider a career change.
We are not done.
Oh, but we are, my dear. We are done.
I had no choice but to return to the Armstrong house to arrest Suzanne Moreau. The arrest warrant for Suzanne Moreau. Suzanne was set up by Clark and Noah. They are the kidnappers, but I'm not giving up. When Suzanne comes up for trial, I will fight for her defense. But for now, the district attorney is in charge. If I want to stay a detective, he always has the last word. The door is wide open. How strange. Hey, is anyone there? Miss Moreau? Miss Moreau? This is Detective Locke. Nothing's been touched. It's as if Daisy might walk in at any moment and begin to play. Miss Moreau, can you hear me? It's me, Detective Locke. You must get up now. Miss Moreau? Miss Moreau, can you hear me? Suzanne Moreau is dead. There are no traces of blows or injuries on her body. She doesn't seem to have defended herself from anyone. It appears Suzanne killed herself by ingesting all these drugs. It appears Suzanne... Suzanne's diary is missing. Her glasses are missing. Suzanne was telling the truth about her mother. She must have realized at last how she'd been used. The death of her mother would have been an additional shock, and the self-righteous court of social media was as quick as usual to try and convict her. She must have realized the death of her and the self... I called the district attorney to inform him. This is Detective Locke, sir. I'm at the Armstrong house.
Have you arrested Suzanne Moreau?
She's dead, sir. Apparent suicide, but I need a forensics team.
She killed herself out of remorse for her part in the crime.
We don't know that yet. I'm calling forensics now, but I wanted you to know.
What a mess. Stay on site until forensics arrive.
Yes, sir. Standing by. The investigation was officially closed. I was certain that she was innocent, and Clark had been responsible for 4 deaths and then vanished into thin air. With $1 million. Dollars marked, though, and not easily spent. I didn't care if the case was officially closed. I swore, Mr. Poirot, whatever it took, I would hunt him down. I waited for the forensics team, then went into the station to write my report. I was officially off the case.
Thank you, mademoiselle. That obviously cannot be the completion of your story. If I might ask a question?
Of course.
Suzanne Moreau's boyfriend, the one who manipulated her and burned down the cabin, this was Ratchet?
No, he was an accomplice. Clark, the phony journalist, was the leader.
Michael Clark, the reporter, he was Ratchet?
Absolutely. I was the only law enforcement official to question Clark. I knew this wasn't his first kidnapping.
You looked for similar cases. What do you Americans call the MMOs?
Means, motive, and opportunity. Yes, I looked for someone in plain sight. Someone on the edge of a kidnapping case. Someone in plain view, keeping track of the investigations. An innocent witness, a concerned neighbor, even another reporter.
And eventually you found a name behind an alias.
Yes, I found a name. Cassetti, the real name. The real name of the man you call Ratchet is Cassetti.
This explains much, mademoiselle, but not all.
It explains why she is our #1 suspect.
But not how she came to be on this train. Attends, she has grown pale.
I don't know what's wrong with me. Excuse me, Mr. Poirot. I don't feel very well.
You are exhausted and still feeling the effects of the drug. Stay with us, mademoiselle. One more effort. I need to know your recent movements.
I snuck aboard the train.
This I observed. You came directly to this room?
Yes, and other than a couple of careful trips to the ladies yesterday, I never left this room. I didn't want to be spotted by Ratchet. Yesterday, I chatted with my roommate, Miss Schmidt, I think, here in our room. She brought me some dinner. I got very sleepy and nodded off.
And now she nods off again. Is this a joke? She must be faking so we can't interrogate her further, Poirot.
No, Book. She really seems to have fallen asleep again. It is my fault. She must have been given a dangerous dose of sleeping pills last night. The effects should wear off soon, I hope, but I am afraid asking her to tell us her story was too much for her.
Pinch her, Poirot. She's faking.
Her eyes are dilated. She is not faking, and there will be no pinching. Dr. Constantine, please stay with her. Monsieur Bouc, ask the other passengers to gather in the dining car. There are still many questions I need to ask.
But all of them together? Won't someone overhear you questioning the others?
I will speak softly because I am trained to do so. They will speak softly because they want to.
Very well. I will do as you say.
I'll stay here to watch over Miss Locke.
I hope your investigation is going well, Mr. Poirot.
I hope we will be leaving soon.
I should go and interview the passengers in the restaurant car.
The passengers who agreed to come and talk to you are assembled, Poirot. Mr. Masterman is already here to answer your questions.
Perfect. Thank you, my friend. Sit down, Monsieur Masterman, please.
Thank you.
Does the name Cassetti mean anything to you?
No. Should it?
Have you heard of the Armstrong kidnapping case?
Of course. It was all over the news a few years ago.
Your employer's real name is Cassetti. He was the man behind that kidnapping.
Mr. Ratchet was... He murdered that poor little girl?
Mr. McQueen, the man you worked for is a kidnapper named Cassetti.
What?
What kidnapping?
He murdered his victim, a child named Daisy Armstrong.
The Armstrong kidnapping?
You had no idea of Monsieur Ratchet's real name?
Damn skunk!
Why are you so upset?
My father was the district attorney who handled the case, Mr. Poirot. I saw Mrs. Armstrong more than once. She was a lovely woman, so gentle and heartbroken. If ever a man deserved what he got, Ratchet, or Cassetti, is the man. He didn't deserve to live.
Madame Olson, have you heard of the Daisy Armstrong case?
No, I've never heard of it.
It was only 2 years ago. It was famous.
Maybe so, but it was not famous in Spain, where I have been helping the refugees from Africa.
You've never heard the name Daisy Armstrong?
No, never.
Daisy Armstrong? No.
No.
No! No!
Yes. It was all over the English tabloids before I went to Jordan. A horrific crime that claimed the lives of an entire family and their wrongfully accused nanny. That's right, isn't it?
Quite so.
I thought the culprit had been punished.
Some might say that the culprit was punished last night.
Oh, my heavens.
May I ask you a few more questions?
Yes, of course.
You were in Jordan?
Yes, I was an English tutor there to the children of a high official. Until recently.
You read about the crime, as you said, in the tabloids.
Yes, that's right. For weeks, news of the royal family was eclipsed.
Have you ever been to the United States, mademoiselle?
No, never. Jordan was really my first trip abroad.
What is your relationship to Captain Arbuthnot?
Who?
A former soldier traveling with us. You must have met him.
Ah, yes, I met him on the platform in Istanbul. We only had a brief exchange of pleasantries, nothing more. British Reserve and all that.
Ah, the British Reserve. Yes, with this I am familiar. She may be telling the truth, but I cannot be certain. Are you sure everything you have told me is accurate, Mademoiselle Debenham?
Of course.
Mademoiselle, I know that you met Captain Arbuthnot at the Tocatlion Hotel.
You were spying on me?
I am very attentive to my surroundings. It helps in my profession.
Well, it's your word against mine.
I had occasion to be of some assistance in recovering Captain Arbuthnot's train ticket. While searching his room, I also discovered one of your earrings. Whatever your relationship may be to the good captain, I doubt it has anything to do with British Reserve. You will not tell me your secret, mademoiselle?
I can't. I don't know what you mean.
Poirot, Miss Debenham's got nothing to do with this business. Nothing. Do you hear?
Archie, stop!
Captain, no! This behavior is unworthy of an officer and a gentleman.
Leave her alone! Have you no honor?
Archie, we should go.
Captain Arbuthnot, I am certain you are a brave soldier, but you are a poor actor. The truth is that your relationship with Miss Debenham is beyond doubt, Captain. Your reaction was apparently that of a man trying to protect the woman he loves. I might understand that if your relationship were some cleverly disguised secret, but it is not. You make puppy dog eyes at one another at every opportunity. You cannot hide your love. Everybody knows.
I advise you to stop with your accusations, Mr. Poirot.
I'm going to escort Miss Debenham back to her compartment. Make of that what you will.
The captain and Mademoiselle Debenham are obviously adamant about not revealing their relationship, but this scene convinced me there is more that is not so obvious.
This murder has everyone on edge. In my 25-year career, I have never seen such madness aboard the Orient Express.
I understand, my friend. The more we learn, the more perplexing this train ride becomes. But we have other clues to pursue.
What do you have in mind?
The broken watch on Monsieur Ratchet's wrist, for example, and the handkerchief found near the body. Who does that belong to?
This little drama we have just witnessed has not put you off the scent.
Far from it, my friend. Will you return to your watch over Mademoiselle Locke?
Yes, I will. Dr. Constantine can probably use a break.
Good.
Au revoir, Poirot.
That was easy. Think, Poirot. That is not a good answer. Let me consider all the possibilities. I must admit I'm not right this time. Let me consider all the possibilities. Yes, there are only 3 possible hypotheses. The watch has been tampered with, or it is out of adjustment, or it indicates the time of the murder. I shall explore these last 2 possibilities before reaching any conclusions. If the watch is out of adjustment, it may be broken. There may also be another reason related directly to Ratchet. Maybe the watch is set to another time zone. No, not good. This is wrong, but I'm never far from the truth. I must admit I'm not right this time. The watch was not defective because the second hand is still moving. Et voilà. That was easy. Good job. Fantastic. If this theory is correct, then the murder took place at 12:15 a.m. I must interrogate all the passengers to see if any of them have an alibi for this hour. Monsieur Foscarelli, I would like to ask you a few questions, if you allow me.
Ah, Signore Poirot, is it? I was wondering when you'd get around to me. Unfortunately, you find me on a mission of mercy.
Hello, Monsieur Poirot. Sorry, we have a small problem. The orange juicer has broken down and I can't fix it. Mr. Foscarelli has kindly offered to help me.
It isn't a car engine, but I am doing my best.
Even with the two of us, we can't manage.
Let me guess. You call upon Poirot to help.
I'd be happy to answer your questions when we finished.
Voila, it should work correctly now.
Thank you so much, Monsieur Poirot. I can put orange juice back on the menu.
Bravo! I should stick to automobiles.
Well, now we can talk calmly. Monsieur Foscarelli, is it?
Antonio Foscarelli? Delighted, Monsieur Poirot.
You have, of course, heard about Ratchet's murder last night.
Oh, naturally. It is all anyone is talking about.
Have you ever been to the United States?
Yes, it has been a primary market for our cars for the last 10 years.
You remember the Armstrong case?
Armstrong? The name, yes. It was a little girl. A baby, was it not?
Yes, a very tragic affair. Did you know that Cassetti, the kidnapper, was actually Ratchet?
Oh, no. Then he deserved to die. I mean, wouldn't you agree?
Can you tell me your movements on the night of the murder?
I went to bed right after dinner, but I slept very badly. My roommate, Mr. Masterman, had a toothache. Oh, he moaned all night. It woke me up several times.
Did you hear anything or notice anything unusual?
No, nothing that I can think of. I stayed in my bed all night.
Well, thank you, Mr. Foscarelli.
I'm sorry I couldn't help more, Signore. I remain at your disposal if you should need me.
Enchanté, mademoiselle. You are Hildegard Schmidt?
I am, jawohl. And you, I know, are Herr Poirot.
Correct. May I ask you for a few minutes of your time to answer a few questions?
With pleasure, but first may I ask for your help?
Why does this not surprise me?
I don't know.
I am at your service, Fraulein.
My mistress, Princess Dragomirov, has asked me to open this traditional Matryoshka doll. There is a trinket inside she must retrieve.
Madame, in my experience, each Russian nesting doll simply pulls apart to reveal the next one inside.
Indeed. Yet try it for yourself.
As you wish.
Ah, you are a gentleman.
The inscription reads, "To my dearest friend."
Ah, thank you very much. This doll reminds her of her youth in Russia. It was very hard under the Soviet regime, but thanks to her strength of will, she rose to be the head of a museum of antiquities in St. Petersburg. Even though she now lives in Berlin, it is said that the Kremlin still fears her.
She must be a formidable woman indeed. You are her maid?
I am her companion. I help her in her daily tasks, and I keep her company.
Ah, forgive me. You will have heard of Ratchet's murder last night.
Yes, of course. Everyone is talking about it.
Can you tell me how you occupied your time last night?
Just after we left Istanbul, I had tea with my roommate, Fräulein Locke. I went to dinner with the princess, and when I returned to my compartment, Fräulein Locke was already asleep. A little later, Herr Michel, the conductor, came to get me because Madame la Princesse needed my help. Her back troubles her. I massaged her for about an hour.
Do you remember the time?
I'm sorry. I do not, mein Herr.
Thank you for answering my questions, madame. Think, Poirot. That is not a good answer. No, not good. That was easy.
Did you need something else, Monsieur Poirot?
Have you lost a handkerchief embroidered with an H, madame?
Oh, no, monsieur.
I thought perhaps since your first name is Hildegard.
It is not mine, I tell you. I could not afford something so nice. I have no idea who it belongs to.
My apologies, I did not mean to alarm you. Monsieur, I am Hercule.
I know who you are, Monsieur Poirot. What do you want?
Answers to a simple question or two.
All right, but quickly. My wife is quite ill. I would like to stay by her side.
I promise. First of all, I imagine you know about the murder.
Of course. The Countess is terribly distressed.
Your full name?
Rodolphe Adreny.
Your home is?
Budapest.
And how do you come to be aboard the Orient Express?
I am a Hungarian diplomat. My family has represented our homeland since the revolution from the Soviet Union in 1956. I was on my country's business in Istanbul. Business which I cannot discuss.
And your wife often accompanies you on your diplomatic missions?
Yes, and why not? Was there anything else you wanted to know?
My little gray cells did not let me down. Can you tell me how you spent last night?
I was in our compartment with my wife. She went to bed early. I played a video game on my phone. Around 11 o'clock in the evening, my wife woke up and couldn't get back to sleep. She took a sleeping pill. As for me, I went to bed soon after that and slept straight through until morning.
Have you ever been to the United States?
I was posted to the Hungarian embassy in Washington for a year.
You knew, perhaps, the Armstrong family.
Armstrong? Armstrong. It is difficult to recall. One meets so many people.
It was the kidnapping of a child, a very sad affair. The culprit was the man on this train who called himself Ratchet, the one who was murdered last night.
Indeed. It sounds like justice finally caught up with him.
Thank you for your time. Now, I'd like to speak to your wife. if you don't mind.
It's impossible. As I told you, my wife is very ill. Thank you, and good luck with the investigation.
Eh bien, the good Count does not appear to want me to talk to his wife. Madame Hubbard, may I ask you a question or two? It won't take long.
Anything I can do to help.
Have you misplaced a handkerchief recently?
No, I don't think so. Why?
We found a handkerchief embroidered with the letter H, so I thought it might have been yours.
I'm sorry, but it's not. It may belong to Miss Schmidt, Princess Dragomirov's lady's maid. I believe her first name is Hildegard.
It is a possibility. Anyone could be lying, of course. I thank you, madame. Ah, it has been a while since I have seen one of those.
Hello. Can I do something for you?
Hello, Monsieur Hardman, I believe. You have heard of the murder?
Cyrus Hardman. Yes, and the fact that there's been a murder is all over the train.
You do not seem very concerned about it, monsieur.
It's not the first murder I've run across.
I had no idea the selling of toys was so dangerous. I did overhear you mention at dinner that this is your profession.
Toy salesman is a cover. I'm a private detective, just like you, from the U.S.
This is wrong, but I'm never far. Et voilà. I did not expect to find another detective on this train.
I just finished a job in Istanbul when I received an email from Ratchet. He hired me to protect him.
Something you failed to do.
I'm not happy about that. He'd received some threatening letters. I was supposed to watch his back, and yeah, something I failed to do. But he seemed to think he was in more danger when he left the train.
He was traveling to Paris?
I assume so, but I'm not entirely sure.
Can anyone on this train confirm your identity?
Yeah, that McQueen kid, Ratchet's secretary.
Were you on duty last night?
You bet. I kept my door open a crack and I watched all night. No one entered that car who didn't belong there.
Did you see anything in particular?
The conductor, Michel. He was there most of the time too, except for 15 minutes or so after we left Vinkovsky. He must have answered a call from Ratchet's room, then he was absent again for a while around 1 a.m. After that, he didn't move until 5.
Monsieur Hardman, have you heard of the Armstrong case?
Armstrong? The kidnapping 3 or 4 years ago? Who hasn't? Why?
Ratchet's real name was Cassetti. I have reason to believe he was the kidnapper.
What? He killed that little girl? No, I didn't know. If I had known, I wouldn't have taken the job.
Do you have any idea who was behind the threatening letters?
I don't know his name, but Ratchet told me he was a small man. Dark hair, with a womanish kind of voice.
Oh, thank you for your help. Is this handkerchief embroidered with an H yours?
Do I look like the kind of guy who would use a handkerchief like that?
Thank you for answering my questions, Monsieur Hardman.
Listen, Poirot. I know I fell down on the job, but if you need help, any at all, let me know. I'd like to make it right.
I am not prepared to receive anyone. Come back later.
Very well, madam. I'll come back later. But you will need to speak to me.
So, my friend, have you finished your investigation?
No, but I have managed to solve a few mysteries.
Okay. I stay here to watch this young lady.
Ah, Monsieur McQueen, may I ask you a question?
Anything I can do to help, Mr. Poirot?
This handkerchief embroidered with an H. Is it yours?
No, I don't use cloth handkerchiefs.
Thank you. I won't bother you anymore.
I'm right again. That happens to me a lot.
I am not prepared to receive anyone. Come back later.
Very well, madam. I'll come back later. But you will need to speak to me. Monsieur, if I am to catch this murderer, I will need your help.
My help? I am at your service, Poirot.
You are very protective of your wife, Count Andrény.
Does that surprise you? Her vertigo can be very dangerous.
I believe there are many kinds of vertigo.
If you don't mind, I'd rather talk to a doctor, not a detective, if you'd excuse me.
I'm sorry, sir, but I must concentrate on my baking.
Sorry to bother you, Monsieur Mori. I have a question to ask you.
Please make it quick. I have a meal to prepare.
This handkerchief embroidered with an H, is it yours?
No, I've never seen it before.
Thank you. That is all I wanted to know.
I hope your investigation won't interfere with today's menu.
Monsieur, if I am to catch this murderer, I will need your help.
My help? I am at your service, Poirot.
You are obviously a devoted husband, Count Andreni.
My wife means the world to me. There were questions in Budapest about a Hungarian diplomat marrying an American woman.
It did not deter you.
I would have given up my position for her. I would think it is universal. Are you married, Mr. Poirot?
No. I fear marriage is not for me. But her condition, is it very grave?
She is suffering a bout of vertigo. You understand? The room spins.
I think Dr. Constantine could help your wife.
There is a doctor on this train? I did not know. Where is this doctor?
I think Dr. Constantine is in the lounge car. If not, perhaps the conductor can tell you where he is.
Very well, I will find him. Thank you very much.
Forgive me for intruding, madame. I am Hercule Poirot.
I know who you are, Mr. Poirot. I overheard you send my husband on a wild goose chase.
Your husband cares for you greatly, madame. I apologize for exploiting that fact. But the situation is urgent, and I need to ask you a few questions.
Apology accepted. I realize you must speak to everyone. This horrendous murder. It's very upsetting.
That is a beautiful music box.
Please don't touch the music box. It's a fragile family heirloom.
Your accent, is it American? Boston, perhaps?
You have a good ear, Mr. Poirot. Yes. Born and raised in what we call the Back Bay.
Are you in the diplomatic service like your husband?
No, not officially. I was still in college when I met Rudy 2 years ago. I keep myself busy handling his scheduling, travel, appointments.
Ah, what is the saying? Behind every great man there is a great woman.
That was the saying. Today one might reverse the sentiment as well, don't you think?
Of course, I stand corrected. No, not good. That was easy. A handkerchief embroidered with an H was found at the crime scene. By any chance, does your first name begin with an H?
No, my first name is Elena, with an E.
Can you tell me what you did last night?
Well, my husband and I went to dinner. Then we came back here. We went to bed around 10 o'clock. I tried to sleep, but I couldn't, because of the shaking of the train. I suffer from vertigo. I finally took a sleeping pill, and that did the trick.
When did the train's motion prevent you from sleeping?
Between midnight and 2 a.m. I know because I must have looked at my watch about 10 times.
I see. Come now, Countess. You are not telling me the truth.
Why do you say that?
The train stopped at 12:30 a.m. due to snow, so there was no shaking of the train. But you told me that it was the shaking that prevented you from sleeping.
I don't know, you're confusing me. My vertigo.
Madame, a man died last night. You can't talk nonsense just because you're sick. You are hiding something from me.
How dare you? I didn't do anything wrong. I'm going to find my husband.
That was unkind, I know, but my strategy worked. I can now inspect this room in peace. These must be the sleeping pills that Countess Andreni took last night. It's closed. An engraving written in, I believe, Russian Cyrillic. It looks like a first name. An engraving. It's Countess Andreni with an older girl. For my beautiful young ladies, Helena and Sonia. Helena with an H.
Poirot! Have you no shame?
Monsieur, I am afraid shame is not a very helpful emotion for a detective trying to get at the truth.
What are you doing in our compartment?
I am investigating a murder, Count Andreni.
My wife is ill.
My apologies, monsieur, but your wife seemed in perfect health when she left the room to find you. I do apologize, but I needed to search your compartment.
You will regret this, Poirot.
Please, Count. You aren't going to challenge me to a duel, are you? Countess, I'm afraid I took the liberty of inspecting your little music box.
How dare you?
The message in the medallion was addressed to you and Sonia. Sonia Armstrong, your older sister, the mother of Daisy, the murdered child.
I am a Hungarian diplomat. You have no official standing here. You have no right to search.
No, Rudolph. Let me speak. It's useless to deny what this gentleman says. I am Helena Goldenberg, the sister of Sonia Armstrong, and Daisy was my niece. The music box is a gift from my sister's godmother, a very close friend to my mother. We hid the truth from you when we learned that the man killed last night was the person who destroyed my family. I panicked. I didn't want to be accused.
That is also why you lied about the H in your first name?
Exactly. Your ferreting about looking for the H is obviously part of your investigation.
If I found a handkerchief in Monsieur Ratchet's room embroidered with an H, I might suspect you had been there.
A handkerchief? I don't have any handkerchiefs embroidered with my initial. To be honest, that sounds awfully old-fashioned to me.
I give you my word of honor that last night, Helena never left her compartment. My wife is telling you the truth, Poirot.
I hope so. I'll let you rest. The matter of the H on the handkerchief still needs clearing up. But first I should check the inscription on the back of the medallion.
I am not prepared to receive anyone. Come back later.
Very well, madam. I'll come back later. But you will need to speak to me.
I must admit I'm not right this time. Natalia. Would it be Natalia Dragomirov? She is the only Russian passenger on the train. In addition, her first name begins with an H in Cyrillic. I'm right again. That happens to me a lot.
I am not prepared to receive anyone. Come back later.
I'm sorry, madam, but a man has been murdered. I must ask you a few questions.
You must have misunderstood me. I cannot speak to you just now.
Madame, I know that Sonia Armstrong is your goddaughter.
Come in, please.
Please forgive my intrusion, madame, but I really must ask you some questions.
Then ask. I'll answer if it pleases me.
We have not been properly introduced, yet I have observed her a couple of times, so I can already deduce some things about her. I do not think that's the right answer. My little gray cells did not let me down.
I will first ask you about last night. Will you tell me your movements?
I went to bed just after dinner. I read until 11, then tried to sleep. Later I woke.
What caused you to awaken?
I suffer from back pain, a consequence of old age interfering with an active life. I called Schmidt around 12:45 a.m. to give me a massage. She did so until I fell asleep.
How long was she with you?
A good hour, I would say.
I see. I must tell you, Princess Dragomirov, I have discovered something astonishing.
And that is?
You are Sonia Armstrong's godmother.
You make that sound like a revelation. I have never hidden the fact, monsieur.
You knew Colonel Armstrong well, then?
I knew him slightly. But his wife, Sonia Armstrong, was my goddaughter. I was on terms of friendship with her mother, the actress Linda Arden. Linda Arden was a genius. one of the greatest tragic actresses in the world. I was not only an admirer of her art, I was a personal friend.
Very well. But this links you to the Armstrong kidnapping case. Helena Andreni is the sister of Sonia Armstrong, the late mother of Daisy Armstrong, kidnapped and killed by the man who was murdered on this train, Ratchet.
Indeed. Was it he? Then justice has at last been served.
The first initial of your first name, Natalia, in the Cyrillic alphabet looks exactly like the letter H in the Latin alphabet.
I'm Russian, Monsieur Poirot, and I was the head of a museum of antiquities in St. Petersburg for decades, until I moved to Berlin recently. I'm familiar with Cyrillic.
This handkerchief is yours, isn't it?
Yes, indeed. I lost it.
It was found in Monsieur Ratchet's room. Can you explain to me why Madame Schmidt didn't identify the handkerchief? She must have known it was yours.
Possibly to protect me. She is very loyal. Your next question will be, how did my handkerchief come to be lying by a murdered man's body? My reply to that is that I have no idea.
That is not an answer, madame.
It is all I am able to give you.
Allow me to summarize.
Do I have a choice?
First coincidence, I shall call it. You are close to the Armstrong family, and the presumed assassin of Daisy Armstrong was killed while you were on board the same train. Second coincidence. Your handkerchief happens to be found at the foot of the victim's bed. Third coincidence. One of the stab wounds inflicted on the body was by a left-handed person. You are left-handed. That is a lot of coincidences, Princess Dragomirov.
Well, Monsieur Poirot, call it fate. If you report to the police your coincidences, they will laugh. A woman of my age and frailty has violently murdered a man? With how many potential witnesses who saw me doddering along the corridor in the middle of the night like Lady Macbeth?
You are right, Princess. You could not work alone, which means you have one or more accomplices. And it is only a matter of time before I find out who they are.
I would appreciate it if you would remove yourself from my room and take your fantasies with you.
Привет! 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 Привет!
Et voilà.
Oh, Poirot, you're there. She hasn't moved, but she seems to be waking up little by little. What about you? Your investigation progresses?
I find myself helping everyone with their problems before they can help me with mine. I have shifted boxes, helped with hangovers, repaired an orange juicer, unlocked some Russian dolls, all so my investigation can proceed.
Don't forget the dessert recipe.
How can I?
Truly, the labors of Hercules.
My friend, I would rather clean out the Orgeon stables. Yet, I have managed to solve a few mysteries.
Oh, tell me everything.
The embroidered handkerchief belongs to Princess Dragomirov. I also found out that she was Sonia Armstrong's godmother.
On the same train with the little girl's murderer?
Exactly. Also, Elena Andreni is the younger sister of Sonia Armstrong, Daisy's mother.
Another passenger connected to the Armstrong case?
Yes, Book. What are the odds, do you think? But I cannot see either woman stabbing Ratchet over and over again in a frenzy. And they apparently have alibis. I had 3 theories concerning the broken watch. It could have been tampered with. It could have been out of adjustment before the murder. Or, of course, it could indicate the actual time of the murder. The only hypothesis I could rule out was that the watch was out of adjustment. For the others, they are impossible to verify. So the watch is of little use to the investigation.
And I was convinced that it indicated the time of the crime. 2 women involved in the Armstrong case.
Let us not forget our patient here. There are 3 women.
Look, she seems to be waking up.
What's happening to me? Did I fall asleep again?
Indeed, Mademoiselle Locke. Did you take any medication? Sleeping pills, for example?
No. I never use sleeping pills.
I inspected your cup. You can clearly see that there is a residue of something at the bottom. I'm sure a lab test would confirm you were drugged. Most likely an overdose. That would explain your battle to shake off the effects.
You think Fräulein Schmidt did it?
She certainly had the most opportunity, but why would she?
But no one knew who I was. It's impossible that someone deliberately targeted me.
No, not good. I do not think that's the right answer. Fräulein Schmidt or Monsieur Michel may have drugged the tea that Mademoiselle Locke drank. Fräulein Schmidt or Pierre Michel could have drugged your tea. They are really the only 2 people on this train who could have done it. But why would either one do it?
Mr. Poirot, I'm feeling much better. I'd like to bring you up to date to why I ended up on this train.
If you are able, I would very much like you to finish your story.
Very well, then. After the Daisy Armstrong case was officially closed, I put out a standing request to the police departments in the Boston area for anything on Michael Clark. But he didn't turn up on their radar. I even set up an anonymous tip line for news about Clark. That's how I met Braid, a sketchy contact on the dark web, but they found nothing I could use. Four long years passed without anything new. Every day I looked at the evidence board I put up in my apartment bedroom. Then this morning, a police report landed on my desk that changed everything. I paid a visit to the police property room and took home a box full of clues. There was his name. Michael Clark. A bill from the power company with, I'm sure, plenty of excuses why my rates keep going up. Travel. For the discriminating traveler. Also for the overworked detective who never seems to have time for a vacation. Well, I can dream, can't I? Years of no new leads in the Armstrong case, and then this. Michael Clark, the sarcastic reporter, my prime suspect in the kidnapping, murdered 4 years ago? This is Michael Clark? He doesn't look anything like the journalist I interviewed. Michael, you have earned a place on my evidence board. Fluffy. Daisy's plush toy. The lab team found this keychain in the cabin, but they wouldn't have bothered to examine the keys once the DA shut down the investigation. The keys were just tossed in the evidence box along with everything else. It's too unusual not to demand a closer look. Key knife. They sell them on the internet for self-protection. What do we find? A capsule and a smell. Bitter almonds. Cyanide. What do we have here? A flashlight. They can also conceal knives, but in this case we have lockpicks. What do they call this? Brass knuckles? Knuckle dusters? Illegal in Massachusetts. Possession alone can lead to serious jail time. So clever. All that evidence, and yet no DNA found. The only fingerprints found on the bottle were Suzanne's. Suzanne's hair, so conveniently left in the cabin for us to find. It was planted. I knew she was innocent. I know I have to stop printing. It's bad for the planet. Maybe they needed to show the ransom to someone, to check if the serial numbers were still on record. I'll print them. On the wall they go. I don't have time to waste on magazines. I've read it probably 10 times already, but I can't get enough of it. Don't know why. Maybe because it helps me sleep? This tattoo is the same on both pictures. I knew it! The faces don't match at all. They are clearly two different men. I should run facial recognition on my computer. Okay, the real Michael Clark has been dead for years. Let's see if the photo of the fake Michael Clark matches someone in the database of known criminals. I've tried this several times in the past few years, but came up empty. Maybe whoever he really is has finally made a mistake. No, that doesn't look like him. No, that doesn't look like him. That could be him, but he looks pretty different. Yes, he seems different at first glance, but still, it's the same person.
Okay. That's it.
He's changed his appearance a lot. Probably had some plastic surgery on his nose, but there is no doubt it's the same person. Let's see why he was arrested. Mr. Ratchet, you didn't just steal statuettes. What recent information does the database have on you? It's so frustrating. I have a name, but I can't find anything about him. But I know just who to call. Hello, Braid. Long time.
Oh, Joanna. Hey, how may I assist you?
I need you to search the dark web.
Yeah, can you narrow that down a little? Because, it's pretty big and pretty dark out here.
Could you find intel about a Samuel Ratchet?
Samuel Ratchet. Got it. Bad dude?
They don't come worse. Send me what you find by email.
Alright, hang on. Okay. Yeah, okay, nope, and okay. Oh, this might be something. I gotta do a deeper dive, but you should find this interesting. Could be coincidence if I believed in them. Emailing details.
Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto.
We're here to save mankind. Oh, it's a cookbook.
The Orient Express. I'm gonna print these tickets and put them on the board. These tickets were all booked by McQueen. The DA resigned soon after the Armstrong case. It haunted him just as it has haunted me. As Ratchet is alive, the dead man can only be Noah. The person traveling with Ratchet has the same last name as my district attorney during the Armstrong case? Goodbye, Michael Clark. Hello, Samuel Ratchet, the man who stole your identity and your life. I knew it. He's the son of my former DA. He goes on the evidence board. Hector McQueen is the son of District Attorney McQueen. Here's what Hector McQueen looks like. The Orient Express. I'm gonna print these tickets and put them on the board. Shaved off the Metro beard. But I'd recognize that smug bastard anywhere. The man I interviewed 4 years ago posing as Michael Clark. This goes on the board. Absolutely nothing on this Cassetti. His driver's license is almost surely a fake. So, Ratchet's real name was Cassetti. This is Ratchet's ticket. Help yourself, Joanna. You earned it. The event? Some old train? But that face, that man. I know that face. That's John Armstrong's driver. The Orient Express departs from Istanbul next week. Interesting. I'll put it on the board. Foscarelli will be on the Orient Express next week. Next week, a certain Edward Masterman will be on the Orient Express. Ratchet will be traveling on the Orient Express in a week. Hector McQueen will be on the Orient Express next week. Damn! Ratchet is taking the Orient Express next week. McQueen, the district attorney's son, is too. Foscarelli, the Armstrong chauffeur, is too. It can't be a coincidence. McQueen and Foscarelli must have decided to take revenge and will undoubtedly attack Ratchet on this train. I have to be on the Orient Express to stop them. And above all, I must stop Ratchet. But I can't do it in Istanbul because there's no extradition treaty with the United States. Ratchet can never be judged in the US without an extradition treaty. I'll have to wait until he's in Paris to have him arrested. Every compartment is taken for this special anniversary journey. Oh, it's impossible to find a ticket. What can I do? Let's find out who's traveling on the Orient Express. Time to call Braid. It's me again.
I haven't found anything useful yet.
I need one last favor. But it's a big one.
Uh-oh.
Can you find me the list of passengers of the Orient Express for that anniversary trip?
Hold on. Jeez, their IT is surprisingly good. Maybe because of the big event. I found the list, but they sealed my back door as I was starting to capture it.
Oh, no.
Whoa, calm down. I got one name. Female. The name I got before they kicked me off the server was Stacy Johnson. Do you feel like a Stacy Johnson?
The question is, how is she going to feel about helping me?
That's one you'll have to figure out for yourself. I gotta go back to weaving my magic on the web.
Hello, is this Stacy Johnson?
Who's asking?
My name is Joanna Locke. I'm a police detective.
And I'm just an actress. Now what did I do wrong?
Nothing. I need your help. I need to take your place in the Orient Express.
Is this a joke? No way.
Do you remember the Armstrong kidnapping?
Of course I do. That poor little girl.
I'm a police officer. I have a new lead that may help me find her killer.
Wait, didn't they prove it was the nanny?
I have found compelling new evidence. I've reopened my investigation.
You know, I had my doubts about the murderous nanny. I played a nanny a couple years ago in a slasher. I was killed in the first episode, but it got me interested in helping kids.
Stacy, please, you say you help kids?
Well, I joined a couple of associations who are trying to help underprivileged kids. If this little girl's real killer is still out there somewhere, I'd do anything I could to help.
Getting me on that train will help more than you can imagine.
So, you want my ticket for the Orient Express? But I booked it months ago. I was so much looking forward to this trip.
Stacy, I can tell you care about kids. Here's your chance to help put this beast in prison for the rest of his life. Think of the publicity for those causes you care about. Think about the kids.
The kids? Yeah. All right. We'll do it for Daisy and the kids who suffer. I'll take care of changing the tickets to your name and send it to you. Get him. Make him pay.
I will. Thank you so much. Stacy was as good as her word. I received the ticket. I called my chief to let him know I was taking my vacation time. I had coming. I flew to Istanbul. I was finally going to nail the monster responsible for Daisy Armstrong's death, Michael Clark's death, even his accomplice, and, I suspected, so many others as well. You know the rest. And that's how I found myself on this train. On Ratchet's trail. The rest, you know. My identity is easily checked with the Berkshire Police.
Thank you for your detailed account, Mademoiselle Locke. In addition to giving us crucial details of the investigation, you have made it clear that there are many who might wish to see Ratchet dead. I know you are innocent. Your forthright testimony and your movements, or lack of them, last night eliminate you from our list of suspects.
I agree, without a doubt. Another detective will be great help to the investigation.
Book.
Although my friend certainly does not need any help.
You are too kind.
Thank you for believing me. I'd like to help in any way I can.
Do not worry, Mademoiselle Locke. Already I see things more clearly. It's obvious whoever drugged you was trying to derail your investigation.
You mean the person who did this to me is Ratchet's killer?
Both Monsieur Michel and Fraulein Schmidt had the means and opportunity to drug you. While you get your strength back, I intend to interview them.
Excellent idea, my friend. All this excitement has whetted my appetite. I'm sure Mademoiselle Locke won't say no to a good, invigorating meal.
What? No. I want to hear what the conductor and Fräulein Schmidt have to say for themselves.
It is my duty to ensure the well-being of the passengers. If Dr. Constantine has no objection, I will escort you to the restaurant car.
On the contrary, some food will do her the greatest good.
Well, I'm still a little shaky. Mr. Poirot, will you please keep me informed about what you learn?
You may be certain of it.
All that snow.
Are you familiar with the concept of entropy, Monsieur McQueen?
Oh, Mr. Poirot, I didn't see you. Entropy? Randomness in a system or something?
Yes. Unpredictability. Even the best laid plans can go astray, thanks to something as simple as...
An unexpected passenger?
Perhaps. Or snow. Book is a collector, and not surprisingly, he collects trains.
Are you all right, Mr. Poirot? And Ms. Locke? Has she had symptoms again?
I didn't mean to disturb you, Doctor. Everything progresses satisfactorily. I have nothing to ask them at the moment. I should leave them alone. Good evening, Fräulein Schmidt. May I disturb you for a moment?
You asked so politely, mein Herr, but I do not think I have a choice.
I wanted to let you know that your roommate, Mademoiselle Locke, is awake.
Ah, yes, I'm glad to hear that. I was worried about her. Did she tell you what had happened to her?
Unfortunately, she doesn't remember much, but we found a residue of a sleeping pill in her cup of tea. Since you two were alone together in your room when she drank it, who else but you could have dragged her?
Must I point out I do not make the tea on this train? You should question the conductor or the kitchen staff.
I know you have sleeping pills, Fräulein.
I do have some. Do you think I'm the only person on this train who finds it difficult to sleep? I believe the Countess Andreni takes them. And I heard the Olsen woman thanking Mrs. Hubbard for a pill.
That was aspirin.
If you say so.
Mademoiselle Locke could have died. Whoever drugged her must not feel any empathy for their fellow human beings, given the dose that Mademoiselle Locke ingested. She was close to death.
Oh my God. What did I do? I didn't want to hurt her. Just have her sleep for a few hours while we had time.
We? Time for what? Time for what, Madame Schmidt?
You think I feel nothing? Nothing? That poor, poor little girl.
Indeed, that poor, poor little girl. Fräulein Schmidt is somehow connected to the Armstrong case. Think, Poirot. That is not a good answer. This is wrong, but I'm never far from the truth. My little gray cells did not let me down.
Fräulein Schmidt, I have a certain reputation for sniffing out...
I am not a murderer.
Forgive me, but I was going to say brilliant chefs. You were the Armstrong family's cook, were you not?
But... yes. I was the cook of that lovely, lovely family. I'm sorry, but I must ask you to give me some time to collect myself. It wasn't supposed to be like this, my darling, my poor darling child.
I will give you that time, Fräulein. You have given me much more in exchange.
I must check in with my other suspects to make certain I have all the pieces of the puzzle in my possession.
Can I get you something, Monsieur Poirot? Everyone is so tense.
An aperitif soon, Monsieur Fauchet, with pleasure, when the matter is resolved.
Jean, you've mixed everything up again. Oh, I can't find the coffee liqueur for tonight's dessert.
You're right, Mr. Book. This dessert is delicious. I'm glad we didn't wait for dinner.
I promise the entrée will be superb as well.
Detective Locke, you are recovering well, I see.
Yes. I should be helping with the investigation. Do you know who drugged me?
It is early yet for conclusions. When I return, then we shall see.
Do not worry, Poirot. She is in good hands. Hotaru, Freya, and yours truly are looking after her.
Not now! Not now! I have a dinner to prepare. Would you interrupt Michelangelo or Da Vinci?
Good evening, Michel. Am I bothering you? You seem stressed.
With everything that's going on, I must admit, it's difficult to be relaxed.
Of course, I understand. Especially since we know that Detective Locke's tea was drugged before it was served to her.
Detective?
Come now, Michel. Surely you would have taken the opportunity to search her things and found her badge. Luckily, she woke up and was finally able to tell us her story.
Hotaru boiled the water, Jean made the tea. I just brought it. Sir, it could have been any of the staff.
Your defense is to accuse others? You have a network connection?
No, unfortunately. It's just an automatic reminder to pay my rent. I always forget, and my landlord complains.
Pierre Michel had to be involved in the murder. The drugged tea, his post at the end of the hall, and now I know why I know more than one of those people on the screen. Brilliant. Fantastic. Good job. Et voilà. You are the father of Suzanne Moreau, Daisy Armstrong's nanny. My condolences on the death of your wife.
What? But my wife...
Enough lies. Suzanne does not bear your name?
No. Suzanne's mother and I were divorced. Suzanne kept her mother's name.
My most sincere condolences, Monsieur Michel, on the deaths of Suzanne and your wife.
This job, I loved them. But I was never there for them. Then, a year after the divorce, Solange became ill. Suzanne took her to this special hospital in the US. Got that job as Daisy's nanny.
I understand your pain, and the reason that led you to drug Detective Locke.
We really can't hide anything from you, can we?
Many have been foolish enough to try and keep the truth from Hercule Poirot.
Yes, I admit, I drugged the tea. But it was only to keep her quiet, until I could... But she reacted so much to the sleeping pills.
She was lucky, as are you, that she didn't die. To be frank, there is one more thing that puzzled me, but I think I understand now. Monsieur Hardman was Suzanne's fiancé.
Huh. I have the impression my whole life to you is an open book. Yes, Cyrus was my daughter's fiancé. I almost consider Cyrus as my own son.
Of course, much more is clear now.
I have been patient long enough. It is time to go and see what all the commotion is next door.
Monsieur Hardman, excellent. The gods who watch over detectives must have trapped you here.
Why didn't they watch over me? I'm a detective, too. I was talking to Michelle about a leaky faucet, and I wanted to go out, but, you showed up.
No need to invent some preposterous story.
But really,
Michelle has told me everything. You are the fiancé of Suzanne Moreau, his daughter.
Oh. I see.
Surely this is not a big surprise to you.
No. Suzanne was the only woman I ever loved. And I failed her. We got into a spat. It was nothing, but I was too proud to apologize. We weren't speaking at all. Suzanne never really cared for that guy Noah. She would have forgiven me. If only. If only.
If only. A common refrain between lovers who quarrel.
Obviously, Pierre Michel and Fräulein Schmidt both drugged Detective Locke's tea, causing the overdose. No wonder she had so much trouble waking up. Time to report my findings to her and Book. I wonder if our master chef gets his recipes from a game.
So, my friend, tell me, you have something new?
Mademoiselle Locke, I know who drugged you. Fräulein Schmidt and our conductor, Pierre Michel, both admitted putting sleeping pills into your tea. This explains your overdose. They are relieved you are recovering.
Michel drugged a passenger? On behalf of the company, I offer my apologies to you, Mademoiselle Locke. Michel will answer for this outrage.
Both of them? I was pretty sure about Fräulein Schmidt, but I admit that I did not suspect the conductor.
I have uncovered multiple connections with the Armstrong case. Pierre Michel is the father of Suzanne Moreau, little Daisy's nanny, and Monsieur Hardman was Suzanne's fiancé. As for Hildegard Schmidt, she was the cook of the Armstrong family. What a coincidence, don't you think?
But it's incredible! What are the odds that so many people linked to that tragic affair ended up on the same train?
About the same as you winning the lottery, my friend.
I wasn't the officer who interviewed Fräulein Schmidt back then, so she couldn't recognize me here on the train. How could they know who I was?
There were other passengers who might have. Or she may have seen you when you visited the Armstrong home.
It is now clear to me that some of the clues to this elaborate plot were staged for my benefit. I must admit I'm not right this time. No, not good. That was easy.
Some clues and information collected so far could lead to a hypothesis. The murderer boarded the train in Vinkovsky, killed Ratchet, and then left the train immediately.
How did you come to that possibility?
Monsieur Hardman told me about a short man with a high-pitched voice who threatened Ratchet. Imagine for a moment that this man, wearing a wagon-lit conductor's jacket, killed him while Michel was on the platform at Vinkovsky. This murderer then hid the conductor's jacket in Detective Locke's room, then fled before the train left.
Why choose Detective Locke's room?
Why, indeed. Let me re-explain from the beginning.
I'm right again. That happens to me a lot.
Mon Dieu! Oui! That must be it! Everything fits so well!
It fits too well, my friend. Other clues lead to a second hypothesis, much more plausible.
My little gray cells did not let me down.
So, we have multiple murderers, all related to the Armstrong case. The murderer from Vinkovsky was a fabrication to turn suspicion away from those on the train. They expected the investigation to be led by some small-town official who could easily be misled.
Mr. Poirot?
Detective Locke, forgive me. You are an obvious exception. You tracked Ratchet with the tenacity of a bloodhound. Unfortunately for the killers, they not only had you to deal with, but now they had, and I say this with all modesty, the world's greatest detective, Hercule Poirot, dropped into the midst of their meticulous planning.
Multiple murderers? Multiple detectives? Poirot, please take pity on me. Who is linked to this case, and who is not?
My poor friend, I have gone speeding out of the station without you. I will continue.
I do not think that's the right answer. This is wrong, but I'm never far from the truth. Et voilà.
Fräulein Schmidt, Pierre Michel, Monsieur Hardman and Monsieur McQueen are all linked to the Armstrong case. I also know that Sonia Armstrong's sister and godmother, Countess Andreni and Princess Dragomirov, are on this train. And finally, Detective Locke discovered that Mr. Foscarelli was the Armstrong chauffeur.
If we add Detective Locke and Ratchet, of the 12 passengers in that coach, 9 have a connection with the Armstrong case. What next, Poirot? Or should I say, who next?
It is time to summon everyone.
Everyone? Even Dr. Constantine? The train crew other than Michel?
Dr. Constantine, yes. I will need him. But we don't want the others as witnesses.
I will see that their duties keep them occupied elsewhere.
Excellent. I have always thought this moment in a case is much like Rodin unveiling the thinker before a captivated audience. A work of art. Have you not felt that way, Detective?
No, Mr. Poirot. I'm happy just to slap the cuffs on him.
Well, there is some artistry in that as well, I suppose.
Where would you like the unveiling, Poirot? The lounge?
Perfect.
Then I will gather all the passengers in the lounge.
Monsieur Bouc, are the train crew locked in their quarters?
Yes, they are.
Then the stage is set for the final act. Ladies and gentlemen, I have gathered you together to hear my reconstruction of the murder of Samuel Edward Ratchet, also known as Cassetti. There is not one, but 2 possible solutions of the crime. I shall put them both before you, and I shall ask Monsieur Bouc and Dr. Constantine here to judge which solution is the correct one.
2 solutions?
Mr. Poirot, I am hardly qualified.
Nevertheless, your assistance is required. Now, you all know the facts of the case. Ratchet was found stabbed to death this morning. He was last known to be alive at 12:37 a.m. last night, when he spoke to the wagon-lit conductor through the door. His watch was found to be badly dented, and it had stopped at 1:15. Dr. Constantine, who examined the body, puts the time of death as having occurred between midnight and 2 in the morning. At half an hour after midnight, as you all know, the train ran into a snowdrift. After that time, it was impossible for anyone to leave the train. So, here is my first theory. The enemy, as Ratchet expected, joined the train at Vinkovsky by the door left open by Captain Arbuthnot and Monsieur McQueen, who had just descended to the platform. He was equipped with a wagon-lit jacket, which he wore over his ordinary clothes, and a pass key which enabled him to gain access to Ratchet's compartment in spite of the doors being locked. Ratchet was under the influence of a sleeping draught. This man stabbed him with great ferocity, 12 wounds in all. He left the compartment through the communicating door to Madame Hubbard's compartment.
Yes, that's so. Scared me half out of my wits.
The murderer thrust the dagger he had used into Mrs. Hubbard's handbag in passing. Without knowing it, he lost a button of his uniform. Then he slipped out of the compartment and along the corridor. He put the uniform jacket into Detective Locke's suitcase to cast suspicion on her. And a few minutes later, dressed in his ordinary clothes, he left the train just before it started off again, using the same means for egress, the door near the dining car. That is the first hypothesis. But there's a second. For that, we must examine the motive for the crime. Why was Ratchet killed? The motive is clear. Revenge, of course. Nothing was stolen, and we know that Ratchet had made many enemies. This was a premeditated crime, meticulously planned. Since the kidnapping and death of little Daisy Armstrong, which traumatized many people close to the family. Even when the police concluded that it was Suzanne Moreau, questions remained. Detective Locke continued her investigation, as did others. They became convinced the truth lay elsewhere. We now know who the real murderer of Daisy is. It is clear now that Daisy's killer was Ratchet, also known as Cassetti and Michael Clark and how many other names. But of course, many of you have known this for a long time. It is obvious that the 12 stab wounds are not a random number. Dr. Constantine's analysis revealed that some stab wounds appeared to have been caused by a right-handed attacker. Others indicated the knife wielder was left-handed. Some wounds were deep, more than one fatal, yet others were not much more than mere scratches. What can explain these discrepancies? This leads us to an obvious conclusion. They are symbolic.
Come now, Poirot. Daisy was 3 years old.
12 stabs. 12! The same number as a trial jury in the United States. But not just a jury of 12 members condemning him to death, but 12 executioners as well. This self-appointed jury had meticulously planned for everything except
snow.
Snow. The avalanche that stopped us, as well as the presence of not one but 2 detectives on the train. They had to improvise, to hastily add clues and false leads. The vial of vaping liquid incriminated Captain Arbuthnot. However, he had a solid alibi confirmed by Monsieur McQueen. Impossible then to suspect him. The time on Ratchet's broken watch was deliberately set to conceal the true time of the crime. This woman in a red kimono does not exist. I don't know which of the passengers it was. It does not really matter. It was just a performance, a charade to introduce another possible culprit to muddy the waters. The conductor's jacket, found in Detective Locke's suitcase, was put there only to cast suspicion upon her. All these false leads were intended for me. But I am Poirot. I understood the truth. We have a train full of suspects. It's time to identify who the real culprits are. Let's start with Detective Locke. Planting the conductor's jacket in her suitcase was an attempt to implicate Detective Locke, but she couldn't fake her drugged condition. Dr. Constantine can testify that the drugged tea incapacitated her for hours, and she had 2 relapses. Let us move on to Monsieur McQueen. When I told him about Cassetti, he looked very surprised that I managed to make the connection between him and the Armstrong case. He told me, "But I thought we had..." I think he meant... You thought you didn't leave any real clues linking the murder to the Armstrong kidnapping. Moreover, you insisted that Ratchet did not speak French when you knew I had heard a voice calling out in French that was supposed to be Ratchet. I do not think that's the right answer. You took some pleasure in leaving me false clues, I think. It was quite annoying. But you told me yourself that your father was the district attorney who handled the Armstrong case.
The case haunted my father. At first, he believed Suzanne Moreau had helped her boyfriend, Noah, to kidnap Daisy, even though there were questions that went unanswered, and a young policewoman refused to let it go, continuing to find discrepancies, but never enough to reopen the official investigation.
That policewoman sits there. Her name is Joanna Locke.
Then tell him. Tell him how in the end my father believed you, how he resigned a job that he loved, racked with guilt that he may have let that monster go free. He died young, broken, his faith in justice broken. That's what Ratchet did to him.
Thank you for your honesty, Monsieur McQueen. Your father is one more victim of the man who called himself Ratchet. Now I will turn to Ratchet's valet, Monsieur Masterman. No, Poirot. Remember Ratchet's sleeping pills. Ratchet sensed danger close to him and naturally wanted to stay awake. You gave him sleeping pills without his knowledge. Once he was sound asleep, you could do what you had to do in peace.
Sir, I'll tell you the truth. I was Colonel Armstrong's adjutant in the war, sir, and afterwards, I was his valet in New York. I'm afraid I concealed the fact this morning. It was very wrong of me, sir, but I knew how suspicious it would look.
Is that all you have to say?
That's all, sir.
Now, to leave no suspicious stone unturned, let us move on to Monsieur Bouc.
What? Me? A suspicious stone?
His lofty position as director does not clear him of suspicion. Murderers can come in all all shapes and sizes. Monsieur Bouc is certainly a very close friend, but I never allow my affection to take precedence over reason. It is not tangible proof. Bouc, my friend, of course you are not guilty. You did everything you could to get me on this train. What madness would cause you to ensure, and I speak with all modesty, that the best detective in the world could be present to witness your crime?
But doesn't our friendship count as well?
Most assuredly, but a murderer can wear all sorts of masks, including friendship. Let us consider our ever-efficient wagon-lit conductor, Pierre Michel. Your admission that you drugged Detective Locke immediately incriminates you, but the murder could not have been possible without your very capable assistance. Your knowledge of train procedures made the murder possible, and your position in the corridor of the train allowed you to be the perfect alibi for several passengers. And your motive? Suzanne Moreau, Daisy Armstrong's poor nanny, who was wrongly accused and committed suicide, was your daughter.
C'est un foiré. He got what he deserved. My poor daughter has finally been avenged. My Suzanne. My child.
Let's move on now to Monsieur Hardman, one of 3 detectives on this train. Monsieur Hardman, I think you are a real detective, but you were never hired by Ratchet. Your alibi was that you were watching the corridor to protect Ratchet, which, of course, you never did. You protected Pierre Michel. However, we just saw that his alibi doesn't hold up, so neither does yours.
I don't know about the conductor.
Being Suzanne's fiancé, you had a substantial motive to punish Ratchet. You used your detective skills, just as Detective Locke did, to hunt him down and finally avenge the death of your beloved.
That's right, Mr. Poirot. I do have some detective skills.
I never doubted it. Now, Fraulein Schmidt, the lady's maid with the soul of a cook. Although she tried to protect the princess when I presented her with the embroidered handkerchief, that's not evidence she committed murder. Fraulein Schmidt, you told me of your remorse for drugging Detective Locke. I believe you are sincere. However, as the cook of the Armstrong family, you experienced the drama from within. The death of Daisy, then Sonia Armstrong, who died in childbirth, and finally, Suzanne and John Armstrong.
So much misfortune in that poor family. The death of this criminal is only justice.
Let us move on to Countess Andreny. I was impressed by the earnestness of her husband when he swore to me solemnly on his honor that his wife never left her compartment that night. Should I believe it? Even if it seems logical, it's more complicated than that. I believe Countess Andreny. Countess Andreny is young and fit, physically quite capable of stabbing Ratchet. The problem must be somewhere else. Countess Andreni, being Sonia Armstrong's sister, you had every reason in the world to want to avenge her. But you were incapable of stabbing someone, even after what he had done to you and your family. The night of the crime, you simply took a sleeping pill. I appreciate the irony that nearby, Detective Locke was also in a drugged sleep. When you awoke, you thought the nightmare was over.
Rudolph?
Hush, my love. Hush.
Excellent transition. I was coming to you, Count Andreni. "12 people, a jury. This was very important to all of you. If Countess Andreni did not stab Ratchet, someone had to take her place. And you, Count, the beloved husband. I've seen how fiercely you love and protect your wife."
Enough! I would do anything for Helena. Anything. Even that.
Yes, even that. Let's move on to Monsieur Foscarelli. I do not think that's the right answer. Detective Locke found out that you were the Armstrong chauffeur, and that you planned to travel on the same train at the same time as Ratchet. That is what made her decide to obtain a ticket as well. Unfortunately, she could not prevent the murder. Have you lost your tongue, Mr. Foscarelli?
Oh, Daisy. She was the delight of the house. Tonio, she called me. And she would sit in the car and pretend to drive me.
And you, Mademoiselle Olson, a champion for the immigrants, a worthy calling. I do not think that's the right answer. Mademoiselle Olson, you supported Madame Hubbard's story about her connecting door latch, a story that I later demonstrated to be impossible. So, you deliberately lied to me, and you also lied about Mademoiselle Debenham's whereabouts.
Enough! I can't take this anymore! I know what you want from me, Mr. Poirot. Very well. Here it is. She was my little Daisy, my angel, so patient. When I patched a scrape or took her temperature, that was my job. But she was so much more to me. She was a shining light in an ever-darkening world. I've tried to honor her by caring for children who have lost everything.
Thank you, Mademoiselle Olson. You too shed light on your part in this mystery. You were Daisy Armstrong's nurse. I will ask you no more questions. It is enough that you have admitted what I know to be the truth, and I understand. Let's move on. Dr. Constantine.
You suspect me? I know none of these people. I didn't know Ratchet either, and I've taken a solemn oath to help people, not murder them.
You are one of the few people in this room not to have any connection with the Armstrong case. Moreover, your alibi is confirmed by Monsieur Bouc, whom I would trust with my life.
That is That is very kindly said, my friend.
We now come to Mademoiselle Debenham and Captain Arbuthnot, whose relationship was not in doubt from the moment I inspected your room at the hotel.
You have a bloody nerve.
Indeed, I do.
We're getting married.
Congratulations. But I would rather talk about your relationship to John Armstrong. That's the right answer. Captain Arbuthnot, you served in the army with John Armstrong. What I don't understand is why a man your age is still a captain. One might expect you to be a colonel as well.
Ever fought in a war, Poirot?
It was war that first brought me to England.
Then you know what it's like. There's a shattering sound, and death, and mistakes, acting on intelligence that proved to be wrong. I sent a patrol to their death. Good men, brave men, wasted. John testified on my behalf at a court-martial. I'm not a colonel. I don't deserve to be, you bloody fool. But I'm also not in prison. John remained my best friend until... There, you have my story. Understand now?
Archie, calm down, please.
You're right, Mary. What you see in me, I don't understand.
Oh, Archie, I see in you what John saw.
Miss Debenham, I'm sorry.
My turn, is it?
I'm afraid so. And you have caused me quite a puzzlement. Your connection with the Armstrong family was not obvious. Then I remembered the job you currently hold.
I'm right again. That happens to me a lot.
You were the teacher of...
No, she was the teacher of Countess Andrény.
You were the teacher of Helena Andrény, whose maiden name was Helena Goldenberg before she married Count Andrény.
Yes, absolutely. Why lie to you? She was an excellent student.
Captain Arbuthnot.
No, Poirot. Unlike the train, you are on the wrong track.
You had one of the strongest alibis, thanks to Mr. McQueen. But his testimony melted like a snowflake. There went your alibi. Poof! Unless you have another one. As for you, Mademoiselle Debenham,
I do not think that's the right answer. Yes, I remember overhearing Mademoiselle Debenham talking with the captain at Circuitry Station. She said, "Not now, not now, when it's all over." That's significant in light of what we now know, but not enough to incriminate her.
Mademoiselle Olsen was the only one who could confirm your alibi. I think you know where you stand.
Very good, Mr. Poirot. Are you satisfied?
I will be soon. Now I must turn to Sonia Armstrong's godmother, Princess Dragomirov. Princess Dragomirov, you weren't on my list of suspects at the start, given your social position.
I left my social position in a cold country.
Do you object to being addressed as Princess?
I deny people the opportunity. It makes a good story to tell their friends. It also guarantees a good table in the best restaurants.
Princess, there is also, forgive me, your extreme physical fragility.
It does not stop me when I must be strong.
Indeed. Of more importance, though, is the fact that you're the only left-handed person on the train. And the single blow to ratchet from a left-handed person was very, forgive me, weak. Finally, I'm afraid I know the alibi that you shared with Fraulein Schmidt is false.
You have been very thorough, sir. I hope you will permit me to say we are much alike.
I am honored. Now it is time to end with Mrs. Hubbard, or should I say,
Think, Poirot. That is not a good answer.
Linda Arden. If Princess Dragomirov hadn't told me about her relationship with this famous actress, I might not have made the connection. But you are a great actress, madame. Your performance as a flighty, self-involved woman was superb. I never would have guessed something entirely different. As for what ties you to the Armstrong family, it is obvious.
I must admit I'm not right this time. No, not good. Think, Poirot. That is not a good answer. I do not think that's the right answer. My little grey cells did not let me down.
Mrs. Hubbard, you are the mother of Sonia Armstrong and Mrs. Andreni. Madame Hubbard, you really are a remarkable actress. You put so much effort into your character and into staging the murder. I saw it as a perfect mosaic, each person playing his or her allotted part, so carefully arranged that if suspicion should fall on any one person, the evidence of one or more of the others would clear the accused person and confuse the issue. Everything was meticulously planned. But you hadn't expected that Detective Locke and I would be on this train, and the avalanche would block it on the night of the murder. You had to improvise.
But again, improvisation would be another of your skills as an actress. So, you came up with the story that the latch on the door that communicated with Ratchet's compartment was hidden by the handbag.
I always fancied myself in comedy parts. That slip about the sponge bag was silly. Shows you should always rehearse properly. You know all about it, Mr. Poirot. You're a very wonderful man, but even you can't quite imagine what it was like. That awful day, I was just crazy with grief. So were the servants. We decided then and there that the sentence of death that Ratchet had escaped had got to be carried out. There were 12 of us, or rather 11. Suzanne's father was over in France, of course. First we thought we'd draw lots as to who should do it, but in the end we decided on this way. It was the driver, Antonio, who suggested it. Mary worked out all the details later with Hector McQueen. It took a long time to perfect our plan. We first had to track Ratchet down. Hardman managed that in the end. Then we had to try and get Edward and Hector into his employment. Well, we managed that. Then we had a consultation with Suzanne's father. Captain Arbuthnot was very keen on having 12 of us. He seemed to think it made it more orderly. He didn't like the stabbing idea much. But he agreed that it did solve most of our difficulties. Well, Suzanne's father was willing. Suzanne had been his only child. We knew from Hector that Ratchet would be coming back from the east, sooner or later, by the Orient Express. With Pierre Michel actually working on that train, the chance was too good to be missed. My daughter's husband had to know, of course, and he insisted on coming on the train with her. Hector wrangled it so that Ratchet selected the right day for traveling when Michel would be on duty. And then, at the last minute, you came. For the rest of the story, you worked out everything, Mr. Poirot. You were right about all of us. What are you going to do about it? If it must all come out, can't you lay the blame upon me, and me only? I would have stabbed that man 12 times willingly. It wasn't only that he was responsible for my daughter's death, and her child's, and that of the other child who might have been alive and happy now. It was more than that. There had been other children kidnapped before Daisy, and there might be others in the future. Society had condemned him. We were only carrying out the sentence, but it's unnecessary to bring all these others into it, all these good, faithful souls.
You are a director of the company, Monsieur Bouc. What do you say?
In my opinion, Poirot, the first theory you put forward was the correct one. Decidedly so. I suggest that is the solution we offer to the police. You agree, Doctor?
Certainly, I agree. As regards the medical evidence, I think that I made one or two fantastic suggestions.
Then, having placed my solution before you, I have the honor to retire from the case.
I'm sorry to wake you up in the middle of the night, Poirot, but it couldn't wait. There was a detail that bothered me in my preliminary autopsy of Ratchet's body. I went back to examine the body and I discovered a wound covered by another. The blow I hadn't seen was delivered by a thinner, sharper blade. So there were not 12, but 13 stab wounds.
12 stabs for 12 jurors. It doesn't work with 13 wounds. The symmetry is destroyed.
It can't be one of the culprits who stabbed him twice?
Doctor, a different knife was used. There is only one explanation. Somehow, some way, there is a 13th murderer on this train. We must tell Bouc. The case is not solved.
Please, come in. Ah, Book. I see we are moving at last.
Yes. The way was finally cleared while we slept. If all goes well, we will arrive in Venice this evening. The train will be there for several hours for refueling and reprovisioning. What do we do with the 13th murderer? Do you have a lead?
I thought about it. There is one clue that was left aside in my investigation. The diary I found in Ratchet's safe mentioned an appointment in Venice. Someone with the initials A.W. He will never keep the appointment. But there should be enough time. I must try to keep that appointment for him. I do not think that's the right answer. That's the right answer.